The opening scene of the last broadcast before they disappeared is a masterclass in slow-building dread, using the familiar framework of a live transmission to lull the audience into a false sense of normalcy before the horror unfolds. This is not just an introduction, it's a carefully constructed illusion of routine, designed to make the coming chaos all the more unsettling. The broadcast begins as any ordinary news segment might. A reporter, perhaps a local journalist, or a radio host, stands at the center of a seemingly mundane event. Maybe it's a small-town festival, a weather update during an approaching storm, or even a late-night talk show signing off for the evening. The tone is casual, the banter effortless. The crew exchanges light jokes. The camera lingers on bystanders milling about, unaware of what's to come. But beneath this veneer of normalcy, something is off. Perhaps it's the way the audio occasionally distorts, just for a split second, as if the signal is being tampered with. Maybe a few frames flicker, revealing an unnatural shadow where there shouldn't be one. The reporter might pause mid-sentence, glancing at something just beyond the camera's view, before forcing a smile and continuing. These are the first breadcrumbs, the subtle cracks in reality that hint at the coming collapse. The genius of this opening lies in its restraint. Unlike traditional horror, which might rely on immediate shocks, this scene thrives on absence, the absence of overt scares, the absence of explanation. The audience is conditioned to expect something terrible, but the story refuses to deliver it yet. Instead, it plants seeds of doubt. A child in the background stops playing and stares blankly at the sky. A radio in the distance emits a garbled voice before cutting out. The reporter's microphone briefly picks up a sound, something between a whisper and a frequency no human should hear. By the time the first real disruption occurs, a panicked voice crackling over a walkie-talkie, a distant scream abruptly silenced, the audience is already unnerved. The horror doesn't come from what they see, but from what they don't. The scene's power is in its implication. Something is wrong here, and no one on screen has realized it yet. This is the calm before the storm, the last fleeting moments of ignorance before the disappearances begin. And when they do, the audience will remember this scene, the way the world seems so normal, so safe, and wonder how they didn't see the signs sooner. The moment the story shifts from unease to undeniable dread comes in first signs of trouble, a scene that shatters the illusion of normalcy and plunges both the characters and the audience into the heart of the mystery. This is where the broadcast stops being routine and starts becoming a record of something inexplicable, something wrong. It begins subtly, almost dismissively. Maybe the reporter notices a flicker of movement at the edge of the frame, a figure standing too still in the crowd, or a patch of darkness that doesn't quite match its surroundings. The camera lingers just a second too long, as if the operator senses something but can't articulate it. Then, the first concrete anomaly, a voice crackles over a radio, frantic and fragmented. "Did you see that? Out near the..." before cutting to static. The reporter, still in professional mode, tries to laugh it off. "Technical difficulties, folks," they say, but their smile doesn't reach their eyes. Then, the disruptions grow harder to ignore. A bystander, someone who had been laughing moments ago, suddenly falls silent, their expression going slack. They turn slowly, staring at nothing, before muttering, "They're here." The camera swings back to them, but they're gone. Just gone. No flash, no sound, only an empty space where they stood. The reporter's composure wavers. They glance at their crew, seeking confirmation, but the crew is just as unnerved. Someone off camera whispers, "What the hell was that?" The audio distorts again, this time picking up a low, droning hum. Not mechanical, not natural. Something alive. The broadcast hasn't been cut yet, but it feels like the signal is no longer entirely under human control. This scene thrives on the contrast between professionalism and panic. The reporter's instinct is to rationalize, to keep the broadcast going, but reality is unraveling too fast. Viewers at home, if there are any left, are witnessing something impossible, and the horror isn't just in the disappearances. It's in the dawning realization that no one is coming to help. Whatever is happening, it's beyond explanation, beyond containment. By the time the first crew member vanishes, a sound tech swallowed by static mid-sentence, the rules have changed. This is no longer a news segment. It's a transmission from a world that's coming apart. And the worst part? The broadcast is still live. Who or what is still watching? This is the moment when the story shifts from confusion to active pursuit of the truth. A truth that may be far more horrifying than anyone anticipated. The crew, still reeling from the first inexplicable disappearances, now takes on the role of reluctant investigators, their professional instincts warring with their growing terror. The broadcast, once a structured report, becomes a raw, unfiltered document of desperation. The scene opens with the remaining crew members, perhaps a reporter, a camera person, and a sound engineer, attempting to make sense of what they've just witnessed. Their training kicks in. They switch from passive observers to active documentarians, as if by focusing the camera, they can somehow contain the madness unfolding around them. The reporter, voice tight with forced calm, begins interviewing shell-shocked bystanders, their testimonies fragmented and contradictory. One second they were there, the next, just gone. I saw something, moving in the dark, but not like a person. The air felt wrong, like it was folding. Each account is more unsettling than the last, yet none provide answers. The camera lingers on faces twisted by fear, on empty spaces where people once stood. The crew's professionalism begins to fracture. The reporter's questions grow more urgent. The camera shakes slightly, and the audio picks up their ragged breathing. They are no longer just reporting the story. They are trapped inside it. Then, the investigation takes a darker turn. The crew ventures further into the affected area. A mist-cloaked street, a eerily silent building, a stretch of woods where the shadows don't behave as they should. The camera captures fleeting anomalies, a figure that flickers like a corrupted image, a whisper that doesn't match any visible source, a sudden drop in temperature that fogs the lens. The crew's flashlights carve shaky paths through the darkness, revealing nothing, until, for a single frame, something is there. Something that shouldn't be. The horror of this scene lies in its slow, methodical unraveling. The crew is still trying to apply logic, to document the phenomenon as if it can be understood. But with every step, the rules of reality seem to bend further. A door slams shut on its own. A radio suddenly blares white noise, and beneath it, something that almost sounds like speech. The camera, for a moment, glitches, and when the image stabilizes, the crew is one person short. By now, the audience realizes the terrible truth. The act of investigating is only drawing the crew deeper into the nightmare. Whatever is taking people isn't just happening around them. It's noticing them. And the broadcast, still live, is the only proof that any of this ever happened. This is the point of no return, the moment when the strange, isolated incidents erupt into full-blown catastrophe. What began as unsettling gaps in the crowd, as whispers of missing people, now escalates into a relentless wave of vanishing. The scene is no longer about confusion or investigation. It is about sheer, unstoppable erosion. People are being plucked from existence one by one, and the horror isn't just in their disappearance. It's in the way the world seems to forget them as soon as they're gone. The broadcast, now fractured and unstable, captures the collapse in real time. The reporter's voice wavers between frantic updates and stunned silence as the camera jerks across scenes of mounting chaos. A woman mid-scream winks out like a snuffed candle. A man running toward the crew dissolves into static. Each disappearance is marked by the same eerie pattern. A flicker of distortion, a half-second glitch in the signal, and then nothing. No sound, no trace. Just empty space where a person once stood. But the true terror lies in the reactions of those left behind. Some freeze, staring at the spots where loved ones had just been, their minds refusing to process the impossible. Others scream, but their voices cut off abruptly as they too are taken. The few who still cling to reason try to document it, as if proof could somehow stop what's happening. But the camera itself seems to be losing coherence, the footage degrading as though reality itself is decaying. And then the crew realizes something worse. The disappearances aren't random. They're spreading toward the broadcast team. A sound engineer drops their equipment, staring at their hands as they begin to pixelate. Then they're gone, mid-breath. The remaining crew members back away, but the camera catches it, shadows elongating where no light source justifies them. A low, droning hum vibrating through the microphone, like a voice speaking from the other side of a broken radio. This scene isn't just about people vanishing. It's about the method, the way the phenomenon operates like an infection, consuming its victims in a way that defies physics. The rules are shifting. Time stutters. The broadcast signal, still inexplicably transmitting, now shows brief flashes of places that shouldn't exist, a corridor that wasn't there before, a figure standing just outside the frame, its shape all wrong. By the time the reporter is the last one left, gripping the camera like a lifeline, the audience understands the awful truth. There is no escape. The disappearances aren't stopping. They're accelerating. And whatever is causing them is no longer content to take from the edges of the crowd. It's coming for the broadcast itself. The horror ceases to be isolated incidents. It becomes the air itself, the new law of this unraveling world. What began as disturbing gaps in reality now unfolds like a wave of cosmic erasure, swallowing everything in its path. The broadcast, once a professional news segment, has become a dying transmission from the edge of oblivion, each second of footage more corrupted than the last. The scene erupts with a terrible new rhythm. The camera jerks across streets where people flicker like damaged film before blinking out entirely. A mother reaches for her child. Her fingers pass through empty space where the toddler stood moments before. A policeman's shouted orders cut off mid-word, his uniform crumpling to the pavement, as if the body inside had never existed. The disappearances no longer follow logic. They spread in clusters, like invisible jaws taking bites out of the crowd. The broadcast equipment itself begins betraying reality. The camera glitches, and for 3 agonizing seconds, the screen shows an alternate version of the same street. Deserted, overgrown with something black and vein-like, the buildings warped at impossible angles. When the image snaps back, half the remaining crowd is gone. The microphone picks up a wet, organic crunching from nowhere and everywhere at once, as if space is being folded and consumed. Panic becomes its own living entity. Those still untouched by the phenomenon now exhibit horrific transformations. A man's screams distort into metallic scree. This is where the world breaks. Not slowly, not in pieces, but all at once. A catastrophic unraveling that turns the broadcast into a screaming, glitching testament to the end of order. The rules no longer apply. Time stutters. Physics rebel. The last remnants of the crew are no longer reporting on the horror. They are drowning in it, their humanity unraveling alongside the signal. The camera becomes a cursed object, showing things that cannot exist. One moment, the reporter is shouting into a microphone. The next, their face stretches like taffy across the frame, their features elongating into something grotesque before snapping back. The lens captures impossible angles, a street that bends upward into the sky, buildings melting like wax, shadows that move independently of any light source. The audio cuts in and out, alternating between deafening silence and a chorus of inhuman whispers that seem to come from inside the equipment itself. The crew's attempts to flee are meaningless. Every exit leads back to the same place. Every door opens into a different version of hell, a hallway stretched too long, a room filled with floating bodies frozen mid-scream, a stairwell that spirals downward into a blackness so thick it seems to pulse. The few remaining survivors lose themselves in different ways. One clutches their head and repeats the same second of dialogue on a loop, stuck in a temporal hiccup. Another walks directly into a wall and keeps walking, their body flattening like paper before vanishing into the plaster. The broadcast feed itself is dying. The image distorts, warping faces into digital grotesques, the screen tearing to reveal glimpses of something vast and hungry moving behind the static. The reporter's voice is no longer their own. Sometimes it's too deep, sometimes it fractures into multiple overlapping tones, as if something is speaking through them. They beg for help that will never come, their words devolving into choked, wet sounds as if their throat is filling with something that shouldn't be there. And then, the final betrayal. The camera, abandoned by its operator, tilts upward on its own. The last thing it captures is the sky splitting open like a wound, a jagged rift where the stars have gone wrong. The air hums with a frequency that vibrates teeth, that makes bones ache. The ground trembles, not like an earthquake, but like the world itself is a thin film over something much, much larger. The transmission doesn't end with a scream. It ends with a sound like 1,000 televisions switching off at once. And then, silence. The kind that lasts forever. This is not mere panic. This is reality hemorrhaging. The broadcast has become a nightmare funhouse mirror, reflecting a world that is no longer obeying its own rules. The very fabric of existence is coming undone in ways the human mind cannot process, not just visually, but conceptually. The crew isn't just witnessing chaos. They are being unmade by it, their bodies and minds unraveling as the laws of physics disintegrate around them. The camera, now possessed by some unseen force, captures horrors that should be impossible. A streetlight stretches upward infinitely, its glow distorting into a searing white line that pierces the sky like a needle. The pavement liquefies, swallowing screaming victims who don't sink so much as blend into the asphalt, their faces pressing against the surface like trapped ghosts. The remaining crew members flicker between multiple versions of themselves, one moment young, the next decayed, then suddenly wrong, their features rearranged into grotesque parodies of human faces. Sound has become a weapon. The microphone picks up. A child's laughter played backward at crushing volume, a wet, organic crunching that syncs perfectly with each disappearance. A voice, too deep, too layered, reciting mathematical equations in a language that burns to hear the reporter's final moments transcend horror. Their skin begins displaying images that never happened. A funeral for someone who never existed. A birthday party where every attendee has the same face, a view of Earth from space. Except the planet is smooth, no cities, no oceans, just unbroken landmass. Their body becomes a battleground of conflicting realities. One eye shows the present chaos, the other shows absolute nothingness. A version of the scene where everything is normal, something that might be the future, or might be another universe entirely. The camera glitches violently. When the image stabilizes, the reporter is speaking perfect reverse speech. Existing in two places at once, missing their mouth entirely, their words coming from their palms instead. Buildings begin unbuilding themselves, bricks sliding backward through time. The sky develops cracks. The few remaining people are walking in perfect sync despite being blocks apart, aging decades in seconds, duplicating, their copies merging and splitting like amoebas. The final broadcast frames show the camera reflecting its own lens infinitely, a single bloodshot eye where the moon should be, the word help scratched directly onto the film itself. Then, silence so complete, it feels like the universe holding its breath. The transmission cuts to black. But somewhere, on some frequency, the broadcast is still running, always running, showing things nobody should ever see. Tuning in is easy. You just have to listen, really listen. The screen doesn't go to static, it goes through static. What comes out the other side isn't silence, it's revelation. The final moments of the broadcast peel back the skin of reality itself, showing the wound beneath. The reporter's face distorts like a wax figure left in the sun, their features elongating as their mouth unhinges to form a perfect, screaming oval. But the sound that comes out isn't a scream. It's a choir. 100 voices singing in perfect harmony, except the song is the exact frequency that makes human teeth vibrate until they shatter. The camera falls, but instead of hitting the ground, it keeps falling forever, showing the studio walls melting like wet paper, revealing infinite corridors lined with doors that pulse like living things. The ceiling peeling away to show not sky, but a vast staring eye with a pupil shaped like the exact street where this all began. The remaining crew members collapsing into geometric shapes, their bodies folding into perfect origami of flesh before unfolding into something else. The audio becomes a living entity. It whispers directly into the viewer's mind. You were never supposed to see this, but now that you have, they can see you too. The image stabilizes for one terrible second, a close-up of the reporter's remaining human eye. Inside its reflection, you, watching from your living room. Right now. Then the transmission does something impossible. It plays backward and forward simultaneously. The reporter reassembles just in time to disintegrate again. Buildings uncollapse as they continue burning. The vanished return just long enough to scream before disappearing again. The final frame is the most horrifying of all. A perfect, stable image of the news desk. Everything normal. The anchor smiling. Good evening. We'll be right back after these messages. Then the broadcast cuts to a commercial for a product that doesn't exist, in a world that can't exist anymore. You check every channel. They're all playing it now. The same broadcast, the same moment, the same smile, on every screen, in every house, across the world. The signal was never contained. It was always waiting, and now it's everywhere. Your phone buzzes, a notification. Live, the last broadcast before they disappeared. You don't remember downloading this app. You click anyway. The screen shows your living room, from behind you. The broadcast isn't on your TV anymore. It's in your house. and the reporter is looking right at you. "We've been waiting," they say. Their mouth doesn't move when they speak, but yours does. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next one. Bye for now.